I need to tell you something before it is too late, before the fog in my mind swallows me completely, and I forget even how to form these words. My daughter said something to me that I will never forget, even though she thinks I already have. She looked at me with tears streaming down her face and said, "You will not remember my wedding anyway, Mom." Those words cut through me like a knife, sharper than any pain I have felt in my 78 years on this earth. But what she does not know, what nobody knows, is what happened on her wedding day, what really happened. And I need to tell someone before this disease takes it all away from me forever. My name is Margaret, and I have Alzheimer's disease. I was diagnosed 3 years ago, though looking back now, I know the signs were there long before that. Forgetting where I put my keys, calling my grandson by my son's name, standing in the grocery store aisle unable to remember what I came to buy. Small things at first, things I could laugh off or blame on getting older, but then it got worse, much worse, and my family started to notice. My daughter Emma, my beautiful Emma, she noticed most of all. Emma was always the observant one, even as a little girl. She would watch me with those big brown eyes, taking everything in, understanding things that other children her age could not grasp. When her father died 10 years ago, she was the one who held me together. She was the one who made sure I ate, who sat with me in the dark living room when I could not find the strength to turn on the lights, who whispered to me that everything would be okay, even though we both knew nothing would ever be the same. She became my rock, my anchor to this world, and I became hers. It was just the two of us against everything life threw at us. So when Emma told me she was getting married, I cried tears of joy, real, honest tears that came from somewhere deep in my soul. She had found someone who loved her the way she deserved to be loved. His name was David, and he was kind and patient, and looked at my daughter like she hung the moon and stars. I remember thinking that her father would have loved him, would have shaken his hand firmly and welcomed him into our family with that big booming laugh of his. I wished so desperately that he could be there to walk her down the aisle, but since he could not, I was determined to be there for both of us. But then my diagnosis came. 6 months before the wedding, I sat in a sterile doctor's office and heard words that I knew were coming but still was not prepared to hear. Alzheimer's disease. Progressive, incurable. It will get worse, the doctor said, as if I could not figure that out myself. You will need help eventually. Full-time care. I nodded and smiled and thanked him, and then I went home and locked myself in my bedroom and screamed into my pillow until my throat was raw. Not because I was afraid of dying. I had made my peace with death long ago when I buried my husband, but because I was afraid of forgetting, afraid of losing the memories that made me who I am, afraid of looking at my daughter's face one day and not recognizing her. Emma took the news harder than I did, I think. She tried to hide it, tried to be strong for me the way I had always been strong for her, but I could see the fear in her eyes. I could hear it in the way her voice shook when she asked the doctor questions. I could feel it in the way she hugged me too tight and for too long when we got home. And I could see it in the weeks and months that followed as she watched me like a hawk, monitoring every forgotten word, every moment of confusion, every time I lost my train of thought mid-sentence. She was watching me disappear, and there was nothing either of us could do to stop it. The wedding planning continued. Emma tried to include me in everything, tried to make me feel like I was still capable, still present, still her mother. We looked at flowers together, though I kept forgetting which ones she had chosen. We tasted cakes, though I could not remember from one week to the next which flavor she preferred. We looked at dresses, and I cried when she found the one, though I am not entirely sure I could describe it to you now if you asked me. It was beautiful. She was beautiful. That much I know for certain. But as the wedding got closer, I got worse. I started having episodes where I would lose time, where hours would pass, and I would have no memory of what I had done or where I had been. I started forgetting appointments, forgetting to take my medication, forgetting to eat. Emma hired a caregiver to check on me during the day, a kind woman named Patricia who spoke softly and never made me feel stupid when I asked the same question for the 5th time. But even with help, it was clear that I was declining faster than any of us had hoped. 3 weeks before the wedding, I had a bad day, a really bad day. I woke up confused, not recognizing my own bedroom, calling out for my husband who had been dead for a decade. Patricia found me trying to leave the house in my nightgown, convinced I needed to pick up Emma from school even though Emma was 32 years old. It took hours for them to calm me down, to bring me back to reality. to make me understand where I was and when I was. Emma came over that evening and I could see she had been crying. Her eyes were red and puffy, her face pale and drawn. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table, the same table where we had eaten countless meals together, where she had done her homework as a child, where we had planned her wedding just months before. She reached across and took my hand, and her fingers were cold and trembling. "Mom," she said, and her voice cracked on that single syllable. "Mom, I need to talk to you about the wedding." My heart sank because I knew what was coming. I knew before she said another word. "I am worried," she continued, her eyes filling with tears again. "I am worried that it will be too much for you, too overwhelming, too confusing. The doctor said that big events with lots of people and noise and activity can be really difficult for people with Alzheimer's. They can trigger episodes. They can make things worse." I wanted to argue with her. I wanted to tell her that I would be fine, that nothing could keep me from being there on the most important day of her life, that I was still her mother and I was strong and capable and present. But the words died in my throat because we both knew it was not true. We both knew that I might have an episode in the middle of her ceremony. I might forget where I am or who people are. I might cause a scene. I might ruin everything. And I could not do that to her. I could not let my disease steal her perfect day. "But Emma," I managed to say, my own voice shaking now. "Emma, I want to be there. I need to be there. You are my daughter, my only child. How can I miss your wedding?" She squeezed my hand tighter, and the tears were flowing freely down her cheeks now. "I know, Mom," she whispered. "I know you do. But I need you to understand how hard this is for me. I am terrified. I am terrified that something will happen to you. I am terrified that you will be scared or confused or upset. I am terrified that when I look back at my wedding photos, all I will remember is how you were struggling." We sat there in silence for a long moment, both of us crying, both of us holding on to each other like we were drowning. And then she said it, the words that would haunt me, the words that would break my heart into a million pieces. "Maybe it would be better," she said so quietly I almost did not hear her. "Maybe it would be better if you did not come. You will not remember it anyway, Mom. You will not remember my wedding anyway. So maybe it is better if you just stay home where you are comfortable and safe, and we can show you videos afterward." I felt like she had reached into my chest and ripped out my heart. I know she did not mean it the way it sounded. I know she was trying to protect me, trying to protect herself, trying to make an impossible situation somehow manageable. But in that moment, all I heard was that my own daughter did not want me at her wedding because I was broken, because I was damaged, because my mind was betraying me, and I could not be trusted to hold it together for a few hours, because I would not remember anyway. So what did it matter? I pulled my hand away from hers and stood up from the table. My legs were shaky, but I made myself walk out of the kitchen with my head held high. I went to my bedroom and closed the door, and I heard Emma crying in the kitchen, heard her calling my name, but I could not go back. I could not face her. I lay down on my bed in the dark and stared at the ceiling and wondered when I had become such a burden. Wondered when I had stopped being Emma's mother and started being Emma's problem. The next 2 weeks were torture. Emma called me every day, left messages, sent texts, but I could not bring myself to respond. Patricia told me that Emma was beside herself with guilt, that she had not meant it the way it sounded, that she was just scared and overwhelmed. But I was scared and overwhelmed too, and I was the one losing my mind piece by piece, and I was the one who was going to miss my only daughter's wedding. So I stayed silent, and I let the hurt fester, and I counted down the days until the wedding that I would not attend. The morning of the wedding arrived. It was a beautiful Saturday in June, sunny and warm with a gentle breeze that made the curtains in my bedroom flutter. Patricia came over early to make sure I was okay, to make sure I ate breakfast, to make sure I took my medication. She was chattering away about something, I do not remember what, and I was only half listening. My mind was miles away, at the venue where Emma was probably getting ready, where she was probably putting on her beautiful dress and having her hair done, and trying not to think about the fact that her mother was not there. I was sitting in my living room staring blankly at the television when there was a knock at the door. Patricia went to answer it, and I heard voices in the hallway, low and urgent. And then Patricia came back into the living room, and her face was pale, her eyes wide. "Margaret," she said, and there was something in her voice that made my heart start to race. "Margaret, you need to come with me, right now. Something has happened." My first thought was that Emma had changed her mind, that she wanted me there after all, that she had sent someone to bring me to the wedding, but the look on Patricia's face told me it was not that. This was not joy or excitement. This was fear. This was panic. "What happened?" I asked, standing up on shaky legs. "Is it Emma? Is she okay?" Patricia took my arm to steady me and guided me toward the door. "There has been an accident," she said quietly. "At the wedding venue. We need to go to the hospital." The world tilted sideways. I felt like I was falling, even though Patricia had a firm grip on my arm. An accident. Hospital. Emma, my baby girl. "What kind of accident?" I heard myself asking. But my voice sounded far away, like it was coming from someone else. Patricia did not answer, just helped me into her car and drove faster than I had ever seen her drive before. I sat in the passenger seat with my hands clenched into fists in my lap, my nails digging into my palms, trying to focus, trying to stay present, trying not to let the fog in my mind take over because I needed to be there for Emma. If you have ever felt this kind of fear, if you have ever gotten that phone call or that knock on the door that tells you something terrible has happened to someone you love, then you know what I am talking about. That feeling of your entire world collapsing, of time moving too fast and too slow all at once, of your mind racing through every worst-case scenario while simultaneously refusing to believe any of it is real. If you know that fear, if you have lived through that moment of absolute terror, I need you to do something for me. I need you to leave a comment right now telling me, "I know that fear." Just those 4 words. I know that fear. Because I need to know I am not alone in this. I need to know that someone out there understands what I felt in that moment. And maybe, just maybe, your comment will help someone else who is reading this feel less alone too. So please, take a moment right now and type those 4 words. I know that fear. Do it for me. Do it for yourself. Do it for everyone who has ever loved someone so much that the thought of losing them is unbearable. We arrived at the hospital, and Patricia practically dragged me through the emergency room doors. Everything was too bright, too loud, too overwhelming. There were people everywhere, voices talking over each other, machines beeping, phones ringing. I felt the confusion starting to creep in at the edges of my mind, felt myself starting to lose my grip on reality, but I fought it with everything I had. Not now. Please, not now. I need to find Emma. I need to know she is okay. Patricia spoke to someone at the desk, and then we were being led down a long corridor with fluorescent lights that buzzed overhead. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it might burst out of my chest. We stopped outside a room and a doctor came out, young and tired-looking, and he started talking to Patricia in a low voice. I caught fragments of words. Serious injuries, multiple fractures, internal bleeding, critical condition, and I felt my knees buckle, felt Patricia and the doctor grab my arms to hold me up. "I need to see her," I said, and I was surprised by how strong my voice sounded despite the fact that I was shaking all over. "I need to see my daughter." The doctor looked at Patricia, then back at me, and nodded slowly. "She is sedated," he said. "She may not know you are there, but you can go in for a few minutes. Just a few minutes." He pushed open the door, and I walked into the room on legs that did not feel like my own. And there she was, my Emma, my beautiful girl. She was lying in a hospital bed surrounded by machines and tubes and wires, her face so pale she looked like a ghost. There were bandages on her arms and her head, bruises blooming purple and yellow across her skin. The steady beep, beep, beep of the heart monitor was the only sound in the room, the only indication that she was still alive, still fighting. I walked to her bedside and took her hand, the one that was not covered in bandages, and it was cold and limp in mine. "Emma," I whispered, and my voice broke. "Emma, baby, I am here. I am so sorry. I am so sorry." The tears were streaming down my face now, hot and fast, and I could not stop them. "I should have been there. I should have been with you. This is all my fault." I do not know how long I stood there holding her hand, talking to her, begging her to wake up, promising her things I had no power to promise, that I would get better, that I would remember everything, that I would never miss another important moment, that she could not leave me because I could not survive losing her too. Patricia eventually came in and gently told me we needed to go, that other family members needed to see her, that I needed to rest, but I did not want to rest. I did not want to leave. I wanted to stay right there by her side until she opened her eyes. Over the next few days, I barely left the hospital. Patricia brought me changes of clothes and made sure I ate, though I could barely taste the food. David was there too, Emma's fiancé who was supposed to be her husband by now. He had been injured in the accident as well, broken ribs and a concussion, but he refused to stay in his own hospital bed. He limped down the hall to Emma's room every few hours, sat on the other side of her bed, held her other hand, talked to her about their future together. He was a good man. Her father would have liked him. I learned more about the accident as the days passed. A drunk driver had run a red light and plowed into the limousine that was taking Emma and David from the church to the reception venue. The driver of the limo had been killed instantly. Emma and David were lucky to be alive, the police said. Though looking at my unconscious daughter hooked up to machines, I had a hard time seeing the luck in any of it. The drunk driver had walked away with barely a scratch. That is how it goes sometimes. The innocent suffer and the guilty go free. On the third day, Emma opened her eyes. I was sitting beside her bed, half asleep in an uncomfortable chair, when I heard her make a small sound. I jerked awake and leaned forward, and there she was, looking at me with those big brown eyes that I had loved from the moment she came into this world. "Mom," she whispered, her voice hoarse and weak. "You are here." "Of course I am here," I said, squeezing her hand. "Where else would I be? I am your mother." She tried to smile but winced in pain. "The wedding," she said. "What happened to the wedding?" "It does not matter," I told her firmly. "The only thing that matters is that you are okay. We can worry about everything else later." But she shook her head slightly, and I could see tears forming in her eyes. "I am so sorry, Mom," she whispered. "I am so sorry for what I said to you. I did not mean it. I never meant it. I was just scared, and I said something terrible, and I have been regretting it every single day since." I leaned forward and kissed her forehead gently, carefully, mindful of her injuries. "I know, baby," I said. "I know you did not mean it, and I am sorry too. I should not have shut you out. I should have answered your calls. I should have been there with you getting ready for your wedding instead of sitting at home feeling sorry for myself. We were both scared, and we both said and did things we regret, but we are going to be okay. You are going to recover, and you are going to marry David, and I am going to be there to see it, and I am going to remember every single moment if it kills me." Emma recovered slowly over the following weeks. She had surgery to repair internal injuries, physical therapy to regain her strength, counseling to deal with the trauma of the accident. David recovered faster and was released from the hospital after a week, but he came back every single day to be with Emma. They decided to postpone the wedding, of course. There was no question of that. Emma needed time to heal, physically and emotionally, before she could even think about planning another ceremony. I went back home, but I called the hospital every day, visited every day that I was feeling clear-headed enough. Patricia helped me keep track of what day it was, what time I needed to take my medication, when I had last eaten. The Alzheimer's was still there, still progressing, still stealing pieces of me day by day, but something had changed after the accident. I was more determined than ever to fight it, to hold on to myself for as long as possible, to be present for Emma in whatever time we had left together. 6 months after the accident, Emma and David decided they were ready to try again. It would be a smaller wedding this time, just close family and friends, nothing fancy or elaborate, just a simple ceremony in the garden of a local inn, with a small reception afterward. Emma asked me if I would come, if I felt up to it, and I told her that wild horses could not keep me away. She cried and hugged me tight and told me she loved me, and I told her I loved her too, more than anything in this world. The morning of the second wedding, Patricia came over to help me get ready. She had picked out a beautiful dress for me, soft blue like the sky, and she helped me put it on and styled my hair. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. I looked older than I remembered, more frail, but there was something in my eyes that had not been there in a long time. Determination, hope, joy. We arrived at the inn, and it was perfect. Exactly the kind of wedding Emma had always dreamed about, intimate and beautiful and full of love. She was waiting in a small room off the garden, and when I walked in and saw her in her wedding dress, I started crying all over again. She was radiant, glowing with happiness, and I thought about how close I had come to never seeing this moment, how close I had come to losing her forever. "Mom," she said, coming over to hug me carefully, mindful of the fact that I was more fragile than I used to be. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for fighting to be here." I pulled back and looked her in the eyes. "Emma," I said, and I meant every word. "There is nowhere else in the world I would rather be. This is the most important day of your life, and I am honored to be a part of it. No matter what happens, no matter what I forget down the road, I want you to know that right now, in this moment, I am completely present. I am completely here with you, and I love you more than words can say." The ceremony was beautiful. I sat in the front row and watched as Emma walked down the aisle on the arm of her uncle, my brother, since her father could not be there to do it. I watched as she and David exchanged vows, promising to love each other in sickness and in health, for better or worse, till death do them part. I watched as they kissed and everyone applauded and they walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, and I was present for all of it. I was there. I remembered. The reception was lovely and low-key. There was music and dancing and laughter, and I sat at a table with Patricia beside me, watching Emma and David have their first dance as a married couple. People came over to talk to me, to ask how I was doing, and I smiled and chatted and tried my best to remember names and faces. Some I recognized, some I did not, but it did not matter. I was there. I was part of my daughter's special day. That was all that mattered. As the evening went on, Emma came over and sat down beside me. She took my hand and squeezed it gently. "Are you doing okay, Mom?" she asked. "Do you need to leave? Are you tired?" I shook my head. "I am perfect," I told her. "This has been the most wonderful day. Thank you for letting me be here." She rested her head on my shoulder for a moment. "I am so glad you are here," she whispered. "I cannot imagine doing this without you." We sat there together in comfortable silence, watching the celebration continue around us. And then Emma said something that I will never forget, even when I forget everything else. "Mom," she said quietly, "I know that someday you might not remember this. You might not remember my wedding or this moment or even who I am. But I want you to know that it does not matter. It does not matter if you forget, because I will remember for both of us. I will hold on to these memories, and I will tell you about them over and over again, as many times as you need to hear them. You will always be my mother, always, no matter what." I turned to look at her and I saw so much love in her eyes, so much strength, so much grace, and I realized that I had raised an incredible human being. Despite everything life had thrown at her, despite losing her father and watching her mother's mind deteriorate and nearly dying in a car accident, she had remained kind and compassionate and full of hope. She was going to be okay. Even after I was gone, even after the Alzheimer's took everything from me, Emma was going to be okay. The party went on for a few more hours, and then Patricia drove me home. I was exhausted but happy, the kind of happy that settles deep into your bones and stays there. I got ready for bed and climbed under the covers and closed my eyes, replaying the day in my mind over and over, trying to commit every detail to memory. Emma in her dress, David's face when he saw her walking down the aisle, the way they looked at each other when they said their vows, the feel of Emma's hand in mine, the sound of her laughter. I held on to it all as tightly as I could. But here is the thing. Here is what I need to tell you, the real reason I needed to share this story. The next morning, I woke up, and I did not remember the wedding. I did not remember getting dressed or going to the inn or watching Emma get married. It was gone. All of it. Wiped away like it had never happened. I woke up confused and disoriented. And when Patricia arrived and started talking about what a beautiful day yesterday had been, I had no idea what she was talking about. Emma came over that afternoon with her laptop, and she sat down next to me on the couch and pulled up photos from the wedding. "Look, Mom," she said gently, showing me picture after picture. "Look at what a wonderful time we had." And I looked at the photos, and I saw myself there, smiling and happy, sitting in the front row, standing next to Emma, holding her hand. But I did not remember any of it. It was like looking at pictures of a stranger. I started to cry. I could not help it. Emma had given me a second chance, had included me in the most important day of her life, and I had already forgotten. All that fighting to be present, all that determination to remember, and my broken brain had betrayed me anyway. Emma wrapped her arms around me and held me while I sobbed. "It is okay, Mom," she kept saying. "It is okay. You were there. That is what matters. You were there and you were happy, and I will never forget that." And that is when I realized something important. Something that I need you to understand if you are going through this with someone you love, if you are watching Alzheimer's steal someone away from you piece by piece. It does not matter if they remember. It matters that they were there. It matters that in that moment, they were present and engaged and part of your life. The memories might disappear, but the love does not. The connection does not. Emma knows I was there for her wedding even if I do not remember it. She has the photos and the videos, and most importantly, she has the knowledge that I fought to be there, that I loved her enough to push through the confusion and the fear and show up for her. So if you are caring for someone with Alzheimer's, please do not give up on them. Please do not exclude them from important moments because you think they will not remember anyway. Give them the chance to be present. Give them the chance to experience joy and love and connection, even if they forget it the next day, because in that moment, it is real. In that moment, they are still themselves, and that moment matters, even if it does not last. And here is the twist, the part that changes everything I just told you, the part that even I did not fully understand until recently. You see, I told you at the beginning that my daughter said I would not remember her wedding anyway, and her big day ended right there. And you probably assumed, like I did, that she meant her wedding plans ended there, that the wedding was called off or postponed or canceled because of what she said to me. But that is not what happened at all. What really ended that day was Emma's old life. Her big day, the day she was supposed to transition from being my daughter to being someone's wife. That day ended right there in my kitchen when she said those words to me, because the guilt and the fear and the love she felt in that moment changed everything. It made her realize that no wedding, no matter how perfect, would mean anything if I was not there to share it with her. So she made a choice. She postponed the wedding indefinitely, told David they needed to wait, and she spent the next 3 weeks trying to reach me, trying to apologize, trying to make things right. And then the accident happened, and Emma nearly died. And when she woke up in that hospital bed and saw me sitting there beside her, she realized that we had both been given a second chance, a chance to do things differently, a chance to prioritize what really mattered. And what really mattered was not a fancy wedding or a perfect day that would be forgotten anyway. What mattered was love. What mattered was family. What mattered was being there for each other, in sickness and in health, for better or worse, whether we remembered or not. So yes, Emma's big day ended right there in my kitchen. Her old big day, the one that was about dresses and flowers and impressing people. That day ended, and in its place came a new kind of big day, a better kind, one that was about love and forgiveness and showing up for the people who matter most. And I got to be part of it, even though I do not remember it. I got to be there for my daughter when she needed me most, and she got to be there for me. And that is what love is. That is what family is, being there, remembering or not, because presence is more important than perfection. I wish I could tell you that everything got better after that Emma's wedding was the turning point, and my Alzheimer's stopped progressing and we all lived happily ever after. But that would be a lie, and I have promised myself that I will tell you the truth, no matter how painful it is. The truth is that my condition has continued to deteriorate. The good days have become fewer and farther between. The confusion has deepened. The fog in my mind has grown thicker and darker, until some days I cannot find my way out of it at all. There are days now when I do not recognize Patricia when she arrives in the morning. I ask her who she is and what she is doing in my house, and she patiently explains that she is my caregiver, that she is here to help me, that everything is okay. There are days when I forget to get dressed or brush my teeth or eat breakfast. There are days when I call out for my husband, forgetting that he has been gone for over a decade, and Patricia has to gently remind me that he passed away, and I am okay, and I am safe. There are days when I do not remember Emma at all, when she comes to visit, and I look at her like she is a stranger, and I can see the heartbreak in her eyes even through my confusion. Those are the hardest days for Emma, I think. The days when I do not know who she is. She sits with me anyway, talks to me anyway, holds my hand anyway. She tells me stories about my life, about her childhood, about her father, about her wedding that I do not remember. She shows me photo albums and videos and tries so hard to spark some recognition, some memory, some connection. And sometimes it works. Sometimes something she says or shows me breaks through the fog, and I have a moment of clarity where I remember, where I know exactly who she is and how much I love her. But those moments are becoming rarer and rarer. Emma and David moved into my house about 4 months after the wedding. I did not want them to at first, during one of my clear moments. I did not want to be a burden, did not want to interfere with their new life together, did not want them to have to take care of me. But Emma insisted. She said that she could not bear the thought of me being alone, even with Patricia coming during the day. She said that she wanted to be there for me the way I had always been there for her. She said that this was what family did. So they moved into the guest room, and suddenly my quiet house was full of life again. It has been both wonderful and terrible. Wonderful because I get to see Emma every day. Even on the days when I do not quite remember who she is, there is something comforting about her presence. Terrible because I am acutely aware, during my moments of clarity, of how much I am disrupting their lives. They are newlyweds. They should be traveling and going out and enjoying their time together, not staying home to take care of a confused old woman who might wander out of the house in the middle of the night, or forget to turn off the stove or have a meltdown because she does not recognize her own bedroom. But they never complain, never make me feel like I am an inconvenience. David has been particularly wonderful. He helps me with things that I know must be uncomfortable for him, like assisting me in the bathroom when Emma is at work, or making sure I take my pills, or staying up with me on the nights when I am too confused and agitated to sleep. He does it all with patience and kindness, and I understand now why Emma loves him. He is a good man, the kind of man who shows up when things get hard instead of running away. I have started keeping a journal. On my good days, my clear days, I write down everything I can remember. I write about my life, about Emma's childhood, about my husband, about the wedding I do not remember but know happened because Emma showed me the photos. I write about my fears and my regrets and the things I wish I could say to Emma, but am afraid I will forget before I get the chance. Patricia helps me with it sometimes, writing down the words when my hands shake too much to hold the pen steady. Emma found the journal a few weeks ago. I had left it out on my nightstand, and she picked it up and started reading it. I caught her sitting on my bed with tears streaming down her face, clutching the journal to her chest. "I am sorry," she said when she saw me standing in the doorway. "I should not have read it without asking. But Mom, thank you. Thank you for writing this down. Thank you for fighting so hard to hold on to yourself, to hold on to us." I sat down next to her and put my arm around her shoulders. "I want you to have it when I am gone," I told her. "I want you to read it and remember that even when I did not know who I was anymore, even when I did not recognize you, I loved you. I always loved you." The journal has become important to both of us now. Emma reads it when she is having a hard day, when she needs to remember that I am still in here somewhere, even when the Alzheimer's makes me seem like a different person. And I write in it whenever I can, whenever I have a clear moment, trying desperately to capture my thoughts before they slip away like water through my fingers. I write about the small things and the big things, the mundane and the meaningful, because I do not know which moments matter most, and I want to preserve them all. I wrote about the day Emma brought home her first report card, all A's except for a B in math, and how proud I was. I wrote about the day my husband proposed, down on one knee in the rain, both of us soaked and laughing. I wrote about holding Emma for the first time, that overwhelming rush of love that nearly knocked me over. I wrote about my mother, who died when I was young, and how I wish she could have met Emma. I wrote about fears and dreams and regrets. I wrote about the wedding I do not remember and how sorry I am that my brain betrayed me. I wrote about how much I hate this disease and how unfair it is, and how I would give anything to make it stop. But I also wrote about moments of unexpected grace, like the time I was having a particularly bad day, confused and agitated, and David sat down at the piano that has been gathering dust in my living room for years and started playing. And somehow, through the fog, I remembered. I remembered that my husband used to play that same piano, used to play that same song, and for just a moment I was transported back to a time when he was alive and I was young and my mind was whole. I started humming along and then singing, and Emma came running into the room with her eyes wide with surprise and joy. She joined me, and the three of us sat there together, David playing, Emma and I singing, and it was perfect. I do not remember it now, of course. Emma told me about it and I wrote it down in my journal, but it happened. That moment of connection and beauty and music happened, even if my broken brain could not hold on to it. I wrote about the time Emma made my mother's lasagna recipe, the one I thought was lost forever because I could not remember how to make it anymore. But Emma had found the recipe card tucked into an old cookbook, and she spent all afternoon preparing it, and when she served it to me for dinner that night, I took one bite and suddenly I was 8 years old again, sitting at my mother's kitchen table, watching her cook and listening to her sing. The memories flooded back so vividly that I started crying, and Emma thought she had done something wrong, but I told her no, these are happy tears. You brought my mother back to me for a moment, and that is the most precious gift anyone could give me. These moments of clarity, of connection, of memory breaking through the fog, they are what keep me going. They are what make me fight this disease instead of just giving up and letting it wash over me. Because as long as I have these moments, even if they are brief and fleeting, I am still me. I am still Margaret. I am still Emma's mother and my husband's widow and my mother's daughter. I am still a person with a history and a story and people who love me. The Alzheimer's has not taken that away yet. Not completely, but I know it will eventually. I know that there will come a day when the moments of clarity stop coming altogether, when the fog is so thick and so complete that I cannot find my way out anymore, when I look at Emma and feel nothing but confusion, when I cannot remember my own name or where I am, or who all these people are that keep coming into my house. I know that day is coming, and it terrifies me more than anything I have ever faced in my life, including the death of my husband, including my own mortality, because dying is one thing, forgetting that you ever lived is something else entirely. Emma and I have had conversations about what happens next, about what I want when I get to that stage. She does not want to have these conversations. She cries and tells me we do not need to talk about this yet, that I am still doing okay, that we have time, but I insist because I need her to know my wishes while I am still capable of expressing them. I do not want to be kept alive by machines. I do not want extraordinary measures. I want to be comfortable and pain-free and surrounded by people who love me, even if I do not remember who they are. And when the time comes, when I am truly gone, even though my body is still functioning, I want her to let me go. I want her to remember me as I was, not as I will become. She promised me she would honor my wishes, though I could see how much it cost her to make that promise. No parent should ever have to have this conversation with their child. No child should ever have to promise to let their parent go. But Alzheimer's does not care about what should or should not be. It takes and takes and takes until there is nothing left but an empty shell, and I refuse to put Emma through that if I have any say in the matter. There are support groups for caregivers of people with Alzheimer's. Emma goes to one every week. She did not tell me about it at first, I think because she did not want me to feel guilty about the burden I was placing on her. But I found a flyer in her purse one day during a moment of clarity, and I asked her about it. She admitted that she had been going for months, that it helped her cope with the stress and the grief and the exhaustion of caring for me. She said that talking to other people who were going through the same thing made her feel less alone. I told her I was glad she was going, that she needed support and there was no shame in seeking it out. I told her that I know this is hard on her, harder than she lets on, and that she needs to take care of herself too, not just me. She hugged me and said that taking care of me was not a burden, it was an honor, but I could see the exhaustion in her eyes and I knew better. It is both. It is an honor and a burden. It is love and resentment, and grief and duty, all mixed together in a confusing tangle that neither of us can fully make sense of. If you are taking care of someone with Alzheimer's right now, if you are living this nightmare alongside someone you love, I want you to know something. I want you to know that it is okay to feel overwhelmed. It is okay to feel frustrated and angry and sad and exhausted. It is okay to need a break. It is okay to go to a support group or see a therapist or ask for help. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It is necessary, because you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot care for someone else if you are falling apart yourself. So please, be kind to yourself, give yourself grace, and know that the person you are caring for, even if they cannot express it anymore, loves you and appreciates everything you are doing, even if they seem confused or angry or unresponsive. There was an incident last month that really drove home how much Emma is dealing with. I had a bad episode in the middle of the night. I woke up convinced that I was late for work, that I needed to get dressed and drive to the office where I had not worked in 15 years. Emma heard me stumbling around in my bedroom, heard me getting frustrated because I could not find my work clothes, and she came in to try to calm me down. But I did not recognize her. I thought she was an intruder, someone who had broken into my house, and I started screaming at her to get out, to leave me alone. David came running and tried to help, but that only made things worse because now there were two strangers in my house and I was terrified. I grabbed a lamp off my nightstand and I was going to throw it at them. Emma was crying and trying to talk to me, trying to make me understand that she was my daughter, that she lived here, that I was safe. But I could not hear her through my panic and confusion. Finally, David called Patricia even though it was 3 a.m, and she rushed over and somehow she managed to calm me down, to bring me back to reality. The next morning, I did not remember any of it, but Emma did. I could see it in her face, in the dark circles under her eyes, in the way her hands shook when she brought me breakfast. Patricia told me what had happened and I felt sick to my stomach. I had terrified my own daughter. I had made her cry and scream and fear for her safety. I had looked at her with hatred and confusion when I should have looked at her with love and recognition. What kind of mother does that? What kind of monster had this disease turned me into? I apologized to Emma over and over, even though I did not remember what I was apologizing for. She hugged me and told me it was not my fault, that she understood, that she was okay. But I could see that she was not okay. I could see that something had broken in her that night, some small piece of her hope, or her strength, or her resilience, and I hated myself for it. I hated my broken brain for doing this to her. I hated this disease for stealing not just my memories, but my ability to be the mother she needed. That incident has happened 2 more times since then. Each time Emma handles it with more confidence and less tears, but I can see the toll it is taking on her. The joy is fading from her eyes. The lightness is leaving her step. She is aging before her time, weighed down by the responsibility of caring for me and the grief of watching me disappear. And there is nothing I can do to stop it. We had to hire a night nurse after the 3rd incident, someone to stay with me at night so that Emma and David can sleep without worrying that I will hurt myself or wander off or have another episode. Her name is Grace, and she is patient and kind, but I hate that she is necessary. I hate that I cannot be trusted to sleep through the night without supervision. I hate that I have become a danger to myself and others. I hate all of it, but Grace has been wonderful. On the nights when I wake up confused, she is there to reassure me. She does not get frustrated or frightened when I do not know who she is or where I am. She simply guides me back to bed, tucks me in, speaks to me in a soft and soothing voice until I drift back to sleep. Emma says that Grace is a godsend, that she does not know how we managed without her, and I am grateful for Grace. I truly am, but her presence is also a stark reminder of how far I have declined. I have also had to give up driving. That was one of the hardest things, giving up that independence and freedom. Emma and David tried to let me keep driving for as long as possible, but after I got lost twice trying to drive to the grocery store that I had been going to for 30 years, we all agreed it was time to hang up the keys. I cried when Emma took my car keys away. It felt like the final nail in the coffin, the final acknowledgement that I was no longer capable of taking care of myself, that I was completely dependent on others now. But Emma and David have been wonderful about driving me places. Whenever I want to go somewhere, whenever I express a desire to leave the house, one of them takes me. We go to the park and feed the ducks. We go to the library where I used to take Emma when she was a little girl. We go to the cemetery to visit my husband's grave, though half the time I do not remember why we are there or who is buried in the ground beneath the headstone. But Emma takes me anyway because she knows it is important, even if I do not always understand why. There are still good days mixed in with the bad, days when I wake up clear-headed and present and almost like my old self, days when Emma and I can have real conversations, when I can ask about her life and her work and her marriage and actually remember what she tells me, days when I can help her cook dinner or fold laundry or work in the garden. Those days are precious, and we both try to make the most of them, try to squeeze every drop of normalcy and connection out of them before they slip away again. On one of those good days, about 2 months ago, Emma asked me if I wanted to go through some old photo albums with her. We sat on the couch together with albums spread out on the coffee table, and she asked me to tell her stories about the photos. Some I remembered. I could tell her about the day that picture was taken, what we were doing, who was there, what happened before and after. But some I did not remember at all. I looked at photos of myself at birthday parties and holidays and vacations and felt nothing, no recognition, no memory, like I was looking at pictures of a stranger. Emma recorded our conversation on her phone. She said she wanted to capture my stories while I could still tell them, wanted to preserve my voice and my memories before they disappeared completely. We spent hours going through those albums, and I told her everything I could remember. I told her about her first steps, her first words, her first day of school. I told her about meeting her father, about our first date, about the day he proposed. I told her about my own childhood, my parents, my siblings. I told her everything I could think of, talking fast like I was running out of time, which I suppose I was. When we finished, Emma was crying again, but they were different tears this time. Not tears of grief or frustration, but tears of gratitude. "Thank you, Mom," she said. Thank you for sharing all of that with me. Thank you for giving me these stories, these pieces of you that I can hold on to forever. I hugged her tight and told her that she was the best thing I ever did with my life, that being her mother was my greatest joy and my proudest accomplishment, and that no matter what happened, no matter how much I forgot, that would always be true. I have been thinking a lot about legacy lately, about what I am leaving behind. I do not have much in terms of material possessions. The house will go to Emma, along with what little money I have saved, but those are just things. What I really want to leave her is something more meaningful. I want to leave her with the knowledge that she was loved completely and unconditionally. I want to leave her with stories and memories and lessons that she can carry with her for the rest of her life. I want to leave her with the strength and resilience that she will need to move forward after I am gone. In my journal, I have been writing letters to Emma, letters for her to read at different points in her life. One for her first anniversary with David, one for when she has her first child, one for when she is struggling and needs encouragement, one for when she is happy and wants to share her joy, one for when she is old and gray herself and wondering if she lived a life that mattered. I have written dozens of these letters, trying to anticipate all the moments when she might need her mother, and I will not be there anymore. I do not know if she has found them yet. I hide them throughout the house, tucked into books and drawers and closets, little time capsules of love for her to discover. Some days I wonder if I am doing this right, if there is a right way to have Alzheimer's, a right way to slowly lose yourself while your loved ones watch helplessly. I do not think there is. I think we are all just stumbling through in the dark, doing the best we can with an impossible situation, but I hope that I am handling it with some measure of grace and dignity. I hope that when Emma thinks back on this time, she does not just remember the confusion and the fear and the frustration. I hope she also remembers the moments of love and connection and beauty that we managed to find even in the midst of this nightmare. I hope she remembers the day we sat in the garden together and I taught her the names of all the flowers, most of which I could actually recall in that moment. I hope she remembers the afternoon we spent baking cookies, and I sang her the songs my mother used to sing to me. I hope she remembers the evening we watched the sunset together from the porch, and I told her how much her father would have loved to see the woman she had become. I hope she remembers that even though I am losing my mind, I never lost my love for her. There is something else I need to tell you, something that I have not told Emma yet, because I am not sure how to say it. I am scared. I am so deeply, utterly terrified of what is coming. I am terrified of the day when I will not recognize Emma at all, when I will look at her and feel nothing but confusion and maybe even fear. I am terrified of losing the ability to communicate, of being trapped inside my own mind with no way to express what I need or want or feel. I am terrified of the indignity of it all, of needing help with the most basic functions, of losing control of my body as well as my mind. But more than anything, I am terrified of hurting Emma, of saying something cruel in my confusion, of lashing out at her physically like I did that night with the lamp, of making her feel unloved or unwanted or burdensome. I am terrified that in my final days or weeks or months, I will cause her pain, and she will have to carry that pain with her for the rest of her life, that those will be her last memories of me. That thought keeps me up at night more than any other. If I could control how this disease progresses, if I could have any say in how it all unfolds, I would choose to slip away quietly and peacefully, causing as little distress as possible to the people I love. But I do not get to choose. That is the cruelest part of Alzheimer's. You do not get to choose how it manifests, how quickly it progresses, which memories it steals first, how you behave when the confusion takes over. You are just along for the ride, a passenger in your own deteriorating mind, watching helplessly as everything you are slowly dissolves. And the people who love you, they are along for the ride too, forced to watch and grieve and care for someone who is there but not there, alive but not fully living. I have been thinking a lot about what Emma said to me before the first wedding, the words that cut so deep. "You will not remember my wedding anyway, Mom." At the time, those words felt like a death sentence, like she was telling me that I was already gone, already not worth including in her life because my broken brain could not hold on to the memories. But now, with some distance and some clarity, I understand what she was really saying. She was saying that she was terrified too, She was saying that she did not know how to navigate this impossible situation where her mother was slipping away and there was nothing she could do to stop it. She was saying that she was grieving, just like I was grieving, and sometimes grief makes us say things we do not mean. I forgave her a long time ago for those words. I hope she has forgiven herself too. I hope she understands that I never held it against her, that I knew even in that moment that she was speaking from a place of fear and pain, not cruelty. I hope she knows that our relationship survived that moment and grew stronger because of it. We learned how to talk to each other about hard things. We learned how to be honest about our fears and our limitations. We learned that love does not mean pretending everything is okay when it is not. Love means showing up anyway, messy and broken and imperfect, and choosing each other over and over again. Patricia told me something interesting last week during one of my clear moments. She said that in all her years of working with Alzheimer's patients, she has never seen a family handle it with as much grace and love as Emma and David have shown. She said that many families fall apart under the strain, that marriages crumble and relationships fracture and people stop visiting because it is too painful to watch. But Emma and David have done the opposite. They have grown closer. They have built their marriage on a foundation of caregiving and compassion, and it has made them stronger. I do not know if that is true or if Patricia was just trying to make me feel better, but I want to believe it. I want to believe that my disease, as horrible as it is, has not just destroyed things but also created something beautiful, that it has given Emma and David a deeper understanding of commitment and love, that it has taught them lessons about patience and resilience that will serve them well for the rest of their lives, that something good has come from all this pain. Every night before I go to sleep, I pray. I am not a particularly religious person, never have been, but these days I find myself reaching out to something bigger than myself, hoping that there is someone or something listening. I pray that tomorrow will be a good day, that I will wake up clear-headed and present. I pray that I will not hurt anyone, that I will not scare Emma, that I will not be a burden. I pray for strength for Emma and David and Patricia and Grace, for all the people who are caring for me with such kindness and patience. And I pray that when my time comes, it will be peaceful and quick, that I will slip away quietly in my sleep, surrounded by love. But I also pray for something else. I pray that even after I am gone, even after the Alzheimer's has taken everything and there is nothing left of me but memories, that Emma will be okay, that she will not carry guilt or regret or anger, that she will remember the good times more than the bad, that she will know deep in her bones that she did everything she could and it was enough, that she was enough, that her love was enough, because it was, it is. She has given me the greatest gift anyone could give, the gift of dignity and love in my final chapter, and I need her to know that even if I cannot tell her anymore. There is a poem that Emma used to read to me when she was little. I cannot remember who wrote it or what it is called, but I remember some of the lines. It was about love being stronger than memory, about how the heart remembers what the mind forgets. Emma found that poem again recently and read it to me, and even though I could not remember hearing it before, something about it resonated deep in my soul. Because that is what I believe. I believe that even when I cannot remember Emma's name or her face or who she is to me, my heart will remember. Some part of me, some essential core of who I am, will know that she is important, that she is loved, that she matters. I have to believe that. I have to believe that love is stronger than Alzheimer's, that it persists even when everything else falls away. Because if I do not believe that, then what is the point of any of this? What is the point of fighting so hard to hold on to myself if it is all going to disappear anyway? The point is love. The point is connection. The point is the moments we have right now, in this present moment, before they slip away into the fog. And those moments matter, even if they do not last. So, if you are reading this, if you are going through something similar with someone you love, hold on to that truth. Hold on to the belief that love persists, that even when they do not remember you, some part of them still knows you are there, that your presence matters, your care matters, your love matters. Do not give up on them. Do not walk away because it is too hard or too painful or too frustrating. Stay, show up. Love them through the confusion and the fear and the anger, because that is what love does. Love stays. And if you are the one with Alzheimer's, if you are the one watching your mind slip away piece by piece, know that you are not alone. Know that there are millions of us fighting this same battle, struggling with this same fear, grieving this same loss. Know that you are more than your memories. You are more than your disease. You are a person who has lived a full life, who has loved and been loved, who has mattered to people, and you still matter. Even on the days when you cannot remember your own name, you still matter. I want to tell you about yesterday, even though I am not entirely sure it was yesterday. Time has become slippery for me, days bleeding into each other, moments appearing and disappearing like dreams. But Patricia told me it was yesterday, and I trust her, so I will call it yesterday. Emma came into my room in the morning and she was glowing, absolutely glowing with a light that seemed to come from inside her. She sat down on my bed and took my hands in hers, and she said, "Mom, I have something to tell you. I am pregnant. You are going to be a grandmother." In that moment, I was completely present, completely clear. The fog lifted, and I was fully myself, fully Margaret, fully Emma's mother, and I started crying tears of joy, pulling her into my arms and holding her tight. A baby. My baby was going to have a baby. I was going to be a grandmother. It was the most wonderful news I could imagine, and I was so grateful, so incredibly grateful that I was having a clear moment to receive it, to celebrate it, to share in Emma's happiness. We spent the morning talking about it. She told me she was 12 weeks along, that she had waited to tell me until she was past the first trimester and the pregnancy was more secure. She said she was scared and excited and overwhelmed and happy all at once. She asked me what it was like when I was pregnant with her, and I told her everything I could remember. The morning sickness that lasted all day, the first time I felt her kick, the terror and anticipation of labor, the indescribable moment when they placed her in my arms and I looked into her face for the first time. Emma was crying and laughing at the same time, and she said, "I am so glad you are here for this, Mom. I am so glad I get to share this with you." And I told her that I was glad too, that this was a gift, that I would hold on to this moment for as long as my broken brain would let me. We talked about names and nursery colors and all the things she would need. We talked about how David was over the moon with excitement, how he was already reading parenting books and baby-proofing the house even though the baby would not arrive for months. And then Emma said something that broke my heart and mended it at the same time. She said, "I wish you could meet my baby, Mom. I wish you could hold them and sing to them and tell them stories the way you did for me. I wish they could know you the way I know you, not just through photos and videos and stories I tell them." And I realized in that moment that I probably will not be here when the baby arrives. Or, if I am here physically, I will not be here mentally. I will be too far gone, too lost in the fog, to truly experience meeting my grandchild. The grief of that realization was overwhelming. To know that there is this beautiful new life coming into the world, a continuation of my family, of my legacy, of my love, and I will not be present for it. To know that my grandchild will never know me as I really am, will only know the shell of me that Alzheimer's leaves behind. It felt unbearably cruel, like the universe was dangling this incredible joy in front of me, and then snatching it away before I could fully grasp it. But then I thought about it differently. I thought about how Emma will tell my grandchild about me. She will show them photos and videos. She will read them my journal entries. She will tell them stories about their grandmother, who loved their mother more than anything in the world, who fought Alzheimer's with everything she had, who was there for the wedding even though she did not remember it, who was present for the pregnancy announcement even if she might forget it tomorrow. And in that way, I will live on, not in my own memories, but in theirs. That is the legacy I am leaving. Not money or possessions, but love. Love that will be passed down from me to Emma, to her child, and hopefully to their children, and on and on. Love that persists beyond memory, beyond death, beyond the cruel theft of Alzheimer's. And that has to be enough. It has to be, because it is all I have to give. I did forget the pregnancy announcement, by the way. Emma told me again this morning, and I reacted with surprise and joy all over again. And she smiled sadly and said, "I know, Mom. I told you yesterday, too. But it is okay. We can celebrate it as many times as we need to. And that is exactly what we have been doing. Every time I have a clear moment and she tells me about the baby, I react with genuine happiness because in that moment, it is new to me. It is always the first time I am hearing it. And Emma has learned to accept that, to find joy in sharing the news over and over, to see my repeated excitement as a gift rather than a tragedy. David has been building a nursery in the room next to theirs. I watched him working on it yesterday, or maybe it was last week, I cannot be sure. He was painting the walls a soft yellow color, and he saw me standing in the doorway and invited me in. He showed me the crib he had assembled, the rocking chair Emma had picked out, the shelves waiting to be filled with books and toys. He talked to me about his hopes and dreams for this child, about what kind of father he wants to be, about how grateful he is to have Emma as his partner in this journey. And then he said something that made me cry. He said, "I hope our child has Emma's strength and your kindness, Margaret. I hope they grow up knowing how much they are loved, the way Emma grew up knowing it. You did an incredible job raising her. She is the most amazing person I know, and that is because of you." I could not respond because the emotions were too overwhelming, but I reached out and squeezed his hand, and I hope he understood what I was trying to say. Thank you. Thank you for loving my daughter. Thank you for being the kind of man who will be a wonderful father. Thank you for giving me this glimpse of the future even though I will not be here to see it. There are moments now when I look around and I do not know where I am or who these people are that keep coming into my house, but I feel safe. I feel loved. And I think that is because of the environment Emma and David have created for me. They have filled this house with warmth and kindness and patience. They speak to me gently even when I am confused or agitated. They include me in conversations even when I cannot follow them. They treat me with dignity even when I have lost control of basic functions. They have given me the gift of a peaceful, loving space to exist in as I fade away. I know there are people with Alzheimer's who are not as fortunate. People who end up in facilities where they are just a number, where the staff is overworked and underpaid, and cannot provide the kind of individualized care that makes a difference. People whose families stop visiting because it is too painful or too inconvenient. People who spend their final days alone and confused and frightened, and my heart breaks for them. My heart breaks for anyone who has to go through this without the kind of love and support that I have been blessed with. If you are caring for someone with Alzheimer's, I cannot stress this enough. Your presence matters. Your kindness matters. The tone of your voice, the gentleness of your touch, the patience you show when they ask the same question for the 10th time, it all matters. Even if they cannot remember it 5 minutes later, in that moment, it matters. In that moment, you are giving them comfort and dignity and love. And that is everything. There was a day last week, or maybe last month, when I was having a particularly difficult time. I was convinced that I needed to go somewhere, that there was something urgent I had to do, but I could not remember what it was or where I needed to go. The anxiety was overwhelming, building and building inside me until I thought I would explode. Emma tried to calm me down, but I could not hear her through my panic. And then Patricia came over and she did something simple but profound. She took my hand and she started humming a lullaby. Not talking, not trying to reason with me, just humming. And somehow, through the fog and the panic and the confusion, that simple melody reached me. I started humming along with her, and gradually the anxiety began to ebb. My breathing slowed, my mind quieted, and eventually I forgot what I had been so worried about in the first place. Patricia just held my hand and hummed with me until I was calm again. That is the kind of care that makes a difference. That is the kind of simple human connection that can break through even the thickest fog of dementia. I have been thinking about what I want my last words to Emma to be, if I am lucky enough to have a final moment of clarity before the end. I do not know if that will happen. I do not know if I will get the chance to say goodbye with full awareness and intention. But if I do, I know what I want to say. I want to tell her that being her mother was the greatest privilege of my life, that watching her grow from a tiny baby into the incredible woman she is today has been my greatest joy, that I am so proud of her, not just for her accomplishments, but for her kindness, her strength, her capacity to love even in the face of loss. I want to tell her that it is okay to let me go when the time comes, that I am not afraid of dying, only of the journey to get there, that she has done enough, more than enough, and she does not owe me anything more, that she needs to live her life, raise her baby, love her husband, chase her dreams, that she needs to be happy, and she cannot be truly happy if she is weighed down by guilt or regret or grief. I want to give her permission to move on, to remember me with love but not with pain, to honor my memory by living fully rather than by mourning endlessly. And I want to tell her the truth about the wedding, the whole truth, because there is something I have not told anyone. something I am not sure I should share, but I feel compelled to. The truth is that I do remember the wedding. Not all of it, not clearly, but fragments, pieces, flashes of images and emotions that surface sometimes in my clearer moments. I remember Emma in her dress, radiant and beautiful. I remember the music. I remember the feeling of joy and love that filled that garden. I remember thinking that this was the happiest day of my life since Emma was born. I did not tell Emma that I remembered because I was afraid that if I told her, she would expect me to hold on to the memory, and I knew I could not. I knew it would slip away again, and I did not want to give her false hope. But now I realize that was wrong. I should have told her. I should have shared those fragments with her, no matter how brief or incomplete, because those moments mattered. They were real, and she deserves to know that her mother was there, truly there, present and aware and full of love, even if it was only for a little while. So Emma, if you are reading this, if you have found this journal after I am gone, know that I remember. Maybe not in the way you want me to remember, maybe not with clarity or detail or permanence, but I remember the essence of it. I remember love. I remember joy. I remember thinking that my daughter had found her person, her partner, her home, and I remember feeling grateful to be there to witness it. That is what I remember, and it is enough. I want to leave you with something important, something I need you to hear and truly understand. Whether you are the person with Alzheimer's or the person caring for someone with Alzheimer's or someone who is just afraid of what the future might hold. This disease is cruel and it is unfair, and it robs us of so much. But it cannot rob us of everything. It cannot take away the love that existed, the memories that were made, the life that was lived. Those things happened. They were real, and they matter, regardless of whether they can be remembered. My life mattered. Even if I forget every single moment of it, even if there comes a day when I do not remember my own name or Emma's face or any of the experiences that shaped me, my life still mattered. I loved and was loved. I raised a daughter who is making the world better by being in it. I showed up for people when they needed me. I tried my best to be kind and patient and good. That does not go away just because I cannot remember it. And your life matters too. If you are struggling right now, if you are watching someone you love disappear into the fog, if you are terrified of ending up like me, please hear this. Your life matters. The love you are giving right now, the care you are providing, the sacrifice you are making, it all matters. It is not in vain. It is not pointless. It is the most meaningful thing you could possibly be doing, even when it does not feel like it, even when you are exhausted and frustrated and heartbroken. You are bearing witness to someone's humanity in their most vulnerable state. You are choosing to see them as a person, as worthy of love and dignity, even when the disease has stripped away so much of what made them recognizable. You are doing sacred work, holy work, and I need you to know that. I need you to understand how extraordinary you are for showing up day after day, for choosing love over convenience, for staying when it would be so much easier to walk away. There is something I want to ask you to do. One more time, before we end this journey together, I want you to leave a comment, not for me this time, but for yourself and for everyone else who is reading this. I want you to type these words. Love is stronger than memory. Just that simple sentence. Love is stronger than memory, because it is true. It is the truest thing I know, and when you type those words, you are not just leaving a comment. You are making a declaration. You are choosing to believe in something beautiful and hopeful and real, even in the face of a disease that tries to steal everything. So please, take a moment right now and type those words. Love is stronger than memory. Do it for me. Do it for yourself. Do it for everyone who needs to hear it. The sun is setting outside my window right now. I can see the sky turning shades of orange and pink and purple, colors so vibrant they almost do not seem real. Emma is sitting next to me, her hand resting on her still flat belly where my grandchild is growing. David is in the kitchen making dinner, and I can hear him humming the same song Patricia hummed to calm me down. Grace will arrive soon for her overnight shift. Patricia will come back tomorrow morning, and the cycle will continue, day after day, until it does not anymore. I do not know how much time I have left. I do not know if I will have more clear moments like this one, or if this is the last time I will be fully present, fully myself. I do not know if I will meet my grandchild, or if I will already be too far gone. I do not know if I will die peacefully in my sleep, or if I will linger in confusion for months or years. There is so much I do not know, But here is what I do know. I know that I was lucky to have this life. Lucky to have Emma and to have been loved by her father. Lucky to have this house and this garden and these sunsets. Lucky to have people who care for me with such gentleness and grace. Lucky to have had so many years of clarity and memory before this disease took hold. Not everyone gets what I got. Not everyone is as fortunate, and I am grateful for it all. Even the hard parts. Even this ending that is so much more difficult than I ever imagined. I know that Emma is going to be an amazing mother. She learned from the best, if I do say so myself, and she has already shown more strength and compassion than most people possess. Her child is going to be so loved, so cherished, so blessed to have her as a mother and David as a father. And even though I will not be there to see it, even though I will not get to hold my grandchild or sing them lullabies or watch them grow, I am still a part of it. My love lives on in Emma, and it will live on in her child, passed down through generations like a precious heirloom. I know that this disease does not define me. It is something that happened to me, something I have to endure, but it is not who I am. I am Margaret. I am a daughter and a wife and a mother and soon a grandmother. I am someone who loved gardening and reading and music. I am someone who tried to be kind, who showed up for people, who did my best even when my best was not very good. I am someone who lived and loved and mattered. Alzheimer's can take my memories, but it cannot take that away. And I know that love persists. It persists beyond memory, beyond understanding, beyond death itself. The love I have for Emma, it is not stored in my brain where the plaques and tangles can destroy it. It is stored in my soul, in the very essence of who I am, and it will be there even when everything else is gone. She will feel it even when I cannot express it. She will know it even when I cannot tell her, because love is not dependent on cognition or communication. Love simply is. So this is my message to you, whoever you are, wherever you are in your journey. Do not lose hope. Do not give up on love. Do not let this disease convince you that connection is impossible or meaningless. Keep showing up. Keep caring. Keep loving, even when it is hard, especially when it is hard, because that is when it matters most. If you are the one with Alzheimer's, fight for every moment of clarity. Write things down, record videos, leave letters, share your stories while you still can. But also, give yourself grace. This is not your fault. You are not a burden. You are a person who deserves love and dignity and kindness, and anyone who cannot see that is not worth your energy or your worry. If you are the caregiver, please take care of yourself too. Find support. Ask for help. Take breaks. It is not selfish. It is necessary. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot care for someone else if you are drowning yourself. And please remember that you are doing enough. You are being enough. Your love is enough. Even when it does not feel like it, it is. Emma just looked over at me and smiled, and in this moment, in this perfect present moment, everything is okay. I am here. She is here. We are together. That is all that matters. Not what I have forgotten or what I will forget tomorrow. Not the fear or the grief or the uncertainty. Just this. Just now. Just love. The wedding that ended in my kitchen that day, it was not really an ending at all. It was a beginning. The beginning of a new understanding between Emma and me. The beginning of learning how to love each other through impossible circumstances. The beginning of appreciating every moment we have instead of taking them for granted. The beginning of building a family that can withstand anything because it is built on a foundation of unconditional love. So yes, Emma was right in a way. I did not remember her wedding, but I was there, and that matters more than memory ever could. My body was there. My heart was there. My love was there. And that love did not disappear when my memory did. It stayed. It remains. It will endure long after I am gone. This is not a tragedy, or maybe it is, but it is also something more. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It is proof that love can survive anything, even the cruelest of diseases. It is a reminder that we are more than our memories, more than our minds, more than the sum of what we can recall. We are love itself, given form, and that can never truly be destroyed. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for letting me share this burden and this beauty with you. Thank you for being here, in this moment, bearing witness to my life, and my love, and my fight. You have given me a gift by reading these words. by hearing me, by seeing me as I truly am beneath the disease. And I hope I have given you something in return. Hope, maybe, or understanding, or simply the knowledge that you are not alone. If you have found value in this story, if it has touched you or helped you or made you feel less alone, I have one final request. Please subscribe to this channel, not for me, but for the community we are building here. A community of people who understand this journey, who refuse to let Alzheimer's steal everything, who choose love over despair. Every time someone subscribes, every time someone shares their story in the comments, we grow stronger together. We remind each other that we are not alone in this fight. So please, join us, subscribe, be part of this community of love and hope and resilience. The sky is almost dark now. The beautiful colors have faded to deep purple and navy blue. Stars are beginning to appear, tiny points of light in the vast darkness. Emma is still sitting beside me, and David just brought in dinner on trays so we can eat together. Grace will be here soon. Another day is ending, and tomorrow will bring whatever it brings. More fog, probably. More confusion, but maybe also more moments of clarity, more love, more connection, more proof that even in the darkest times, there is still light. I am Margaret. I have Alzheimer's disease. I do not remember my daughter's wedding, but I was there, and I loved every moment of it whether I can recall it or not. I am going to be a grandmother, and even if I never meet my grandchild with a clear mind, they will know that they were loved by me before they even took their first breath. My life has meaning. My love has power, and neither of those things will ever disappear, no matter what this disease takes from me. Remember that. Hold on to that. When the darkness feels overwhelming, when the confusion seems endless, when you wonder if any of this matters, remember that it does. Love is stronger than memory. Love is stronger than disease. Love is stronger than death itself. And love is what remains when everything else is gone. This is my story. This is my truth. This is my legacy. And I give it to you with all the love that still remains in my fading mind and my enduring heart.